abolition of death penalty. Now, the news in full. The Nigeria Educational Loan Fund, NEL Fund, has wrapped up its sensitization program in the southeast of the country. The move was geared at getting students in the region abreast of the benefit of the student loan scheme and increased participation. We heard the program was carried out in collaboration with the National Association of Nigerian Students. The NEL Fund team visited 7 tertiary institutions in the southeast, during which the helmsman of NEL Fund, Akintade Sawyer, expressed concern about the low participation of students from the region. He allayed fears of harassment if they defaulted in repaying, pointing out that the loan was interest-free and repayable 2 years after finishing their service and started working. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has urged the federal government to direct the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to immediately reverse the hike in the petrol pump price. This was disclosed in a statement by the NLC president, Joe Ajayi. According to Ajayi, the hike in petrol so far has not been productive and also not produced any good result, but had only made the people poorer and has led to more job loss across the country. He urged the government to present a clear and inclusive plan for economic growth and national development. Osun State has been picked as the coordinating point for the implementation of the food system transformation pathway in the southwest geopolitical zone. The initiative, which was made public by the federal government, is aimed at boosting food production in Nigeria. The Food System Transformation Pathways, the brainchild of the United Nations, is meant to facilitate functioning food systems that will provide incomes for small-scale farmers. It also geared at empowering women and increasing youth employment. Away from Nigeria, Mozambicans went to the polls in a general election on Wednesday to pick a new president. We hear the ruling Frelimo Party's candidate, Daniel Chapo, who is confident of having the upper hand, has presented himself as an agent of change. He has 2 main rivals who are also angling to come out tops. Frelimo has been in power since Mozambique gained independence from Portugal in 1975. President Filipe Nyusi is stepping down from power after serving the 2-term limit. Mozambique is still suffering from the effect of a 16-year civil war between Frelimo and Renamo. A critic of the Rwandan government has been handed a 7-year jail term for breaching the country's law on genocide denial. The critic, Rashid Akuzimana, who was arrested in 2021, denied all the charges leveled against him. Among the charges were spreading false information claiming that anyone who dares to challenge President Paul Kagame in election is jailed and inciting division among the ethnic tribes. During the trial, he told the court that it was his criticism of the government on his social media handle that was the real reason for his arrest. Under Rwandan law, it is a crime to deny, downplay, or to attempt to justify the genocide in which about 800,000 people were killed in 1994. This is Vicinity 95.3 FM, Ikejile, Ijesha. Global News will continue shortly. Now the rest of the news. The European Union says it would like to see one thing done, and this is the scrapping of the death penalty. The High Representative of the European Union, Joseph Borrell, and the Chief Scribe of the Council of Europe, Alain Berset, both expressed their support for any move that would make this happen. Both of them, in a joint statement for the European and World Day Against the Death Penalty, affirmed their opposition to capital punishment under any circumstances. They revealed that already 2/3 of countries around the world had abolished the death penalty. According to them, the death penalty does not deter crime, and the miscarriages of justice can only have irreversible consequences. From Israel comes this report that 2 civilians have been killed and several others injured following a Hezbollah rocket attack north of the country. Hezbollah said it had targeted Israeli forces in area which had been evacuated after a year of cross-border fighting. The 2 Israeli civilians were the first killed by Hezbollah since the ding-dong escalated 2 weeks ago. Taiwan's President William Lai says he will never allow his country to be annexed by China. President Lai, in a public address, made it clear that he would uphold the commitment to resist any form of annexation or encroachment upon the country's sovereignty. He has, however, pledged to maintain the status quo of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. Lai's speech, which came as the country commemorated its National Day, was the most high-prolific one since taking office earlier this year. China has consistently laid claims to the ownership of the territory. One of India's most internationally recognized business leaders, Ratan Tata, is dead. He was 86 years. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed Tata as a visionary business leader, a compassionate soul, and an extraordinary human being. Despite turning Tata business into a global powerhouse, he owned less than 1% of the group that bears his family name. A Nepalese teenager has broken the world record as the youngest mountaineer to summit Earth's 14 highest peaks. The teenager, Nima Rinji, a teen, achieved this feat Wednesday when he stood on top of Tibet's Mount Sisha Panama. He had earlier on climbed all the other mountains, reaching their peaks. Rinji, who started climbing high-altitude mountains at the age of 16, summited all 8,000ers in 740 days. In case you did not know, there are 14 mountains that the International Mountaineering and Climbing Federation recognizes as more than 8,000 meters above the sea level. To end the global news, another look at the headlines. The Nigerian Educational Loan Fund, (NELFund), has wrapped up its sensitization program in the southeast of the country. The move was geared at getting students in the region abreast of the benefits of the student loan scheme and increased participation. We told you that a critic of the Rwanda government has been handed a 7-year jail term for breaching the country's law on genocide denial. And lastly, you heard that the European Union said it would like to see one thing done, and this is the scrapping of the death penalty. The High Representative of the European Union, Joseph Borrell, and the Chief Scribe of the Council of Europe, Allen Bassett both expressed their support for any move that would make this happen. And just before we go, the last line. You do not find the happy life, you make it. That was Global News. On behalf of the news editor, Boluwatife Obi Israel, I am Boluwatife Ajayi. Many thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for news nationwide at 5 o'clock. Good afternoon.